Hello, and welcome back once again to Belmont Bunch. Today, we are going over my prediction, my preview for the third round series, the Stanley Cup semifinals, as they're called this year, the New York Islanders and the Tampa Bay Lightning. So, a rematch of last year's Eastern Conference Finals. These teams look fairly similar to last year. Not a ton of roster turnover. The Islanders no longer with Taves. They have Palmieri. They have Zajac. And for Tampa, they didn't have Stamkos for that series, really. So that is a big addition, a little bit. Outside of that, Ross Colton, rookie, having a good year. That's a little bit different. Johnson on the fourth line, but still, he's there. Defense, David Savard comes in. The Islanders, Dobson will actually play this time. And, So, pretty similar. Let's get... no Anders Lee for the Islanders, obviously. That's a big one. But, let's start with Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay, incredible top six. I've got the point totals here. Guys that surprised me a little bit. We'll start with the guys that are doing amazing. Kucherov leads the team, 11 games, 18 points. Hasn't missed a beat. Probably one of the only players in the playoffs that's 100%. Now, obviously, he's coming off surgery, but, this was a unique situation. So, the team probably got some sort of diagnosis that said, he'd be coming back at some awkward time near the back half, not even back half, back third of the year. I kind of salute I know this is going to get some hate, but, it's the NHL's rules that allow for it. They're doing something that's within the rules. Team doctors said, that he had to wait, and that's what the NHL goes by. So, Kucherov comes back in, has been incredible. Everybody in the playoffs, everybody that has played in the regular season is coming in with, knocks on them. And Kucherov is like pristine. And now, he is kind of playing at his full level, and he's not hurt. So it's like, very dangerous. He's got 5 goals, 13 assists. Braden Point's got 12 points down the middle there. He's got 8 goals, so look out. He's been on a scoring tear. Palat, playoff Palat, a little bit surprised, only 5 points so far. And I was wondering, how's that possible with the other guys in the first line being past 10? And I think part of it is probably a lot of power play goals from the Tampa Bay Lightning, operating at a decent 41.7% on the power play in the playoffs. So don't commit any penalties. Just don't do it. So Palat, I don't think he's part of the first power play unit, or if he is, it's just the Kucherov, Stamkos, and Point show. Killorn has been really impressive. He's a guy whose contract I think created issues for them, but he's a playoff performer. And you got to give credit to Tampa Bay for knowing their guys. 6 goals, 6 assists, very, very steady. Cirelli, only 6 points, but he's good defensively, so he kind of makes up for that. Stamkos, 13 points. Bottom 6, I would expect more points out of them. It's not bad. Colton's got 3 goals. He's been good. That fourth line was really effective in the closeout game, Game 5 of the previous series in the second round against Carolina. And speaking of Carolina, this video, much like last year with the Rangers and Carolina series, I think I switched like 5 times, deleted all those, didn't upload those, and then uploaded my last one, picked the Rangers. Was wrong. This is the third time I am doing this video because I am so back and forth on how this series is going to go. So anyway, to get back to Ross Colton, good rookie year, 3 goals in this playoff round. In the playoffs so far. That fourth line has been effective, even if it's not always showing up on the numbers. Barclay Goodrow, only 1 goal so far, no assists. Yanni Gourde, 3 points. Blake Coleman, 4 points. So they got to get going a little bit because the Islanders are going to be targeting that top 6. The way they were able to an extent, stop the perfection line. Now, Brad Marchand had a pretty good series, so, and Pastrnak was good the first half of the series, and kind of second half of the series forced to play more of a playmaker role. So we'll see what the Islanders can do with Kucherov, Stamkos, Point, to make them, to negate them a little bit. Anyway, defense. Hedman has 11 assists, so that's pretty impressive. McDonough has been throwing the body, has been really physical. This is a team that's not going to get easily bullied by anyone, and the Islanders have been able to wear teams down a lot this year. It's going to be, each round's been a step up and how difficult it's going to be to wear that team down, and this is one of the biggest tests. Maybe the biggest test there is, depending on your opinion of Vegas. If you think Tampa's better, then this is the biggest test. A little bit surprised Sergachev only has 2 points so far, but they're so loaded down the left that, he gets his time where he can. Savard, not surprised he has no points, and Ruda, those guys are defensive stalwarts, and Chernak, 6 assists, pretty good. Pretty good from a tough, big defenseman who's more known for his defense. So, and Vasilevsky, let's not forget Vasilevsky, 2.24 goals against, average, .934 save percentage, all playoff numbers. First round was tough for him, but maybe that makes sense. A really potent offense of the Panthers. He had a rough series. Still were able to find a way. Last series, he found it. The moment that Carolina fans brought out the sign, I shouldn't put it on all the fans. On the one fan that brought something about a coupon. Vasilevsky couldn't make saves. There were more savings from coupon. I don't know. Didn't go well. I'll tell you that. Because Vasilevsky turned it on last series, was incredible outside of one game. So just to go over the numbers, they're averaging 3.45 goals per game in the playoffs, 2.36 goals against, 41.7% on the power play, like I said. Penalty kill, 77.8, so maybe a weakness there. Time to talk about the Islanders. My favorite pastime. But how does it affect the Islanders? Leo Komarov still in the first line. It has, you get to the point, it was frustrating for a while, and then when they keep winning, even with him there, you're like, screw it. All right, sure. And he's creating space, and generally has played all right. He's got 3 points. Nothing to write home about in the point department. Barzal, starting to get hot. This line maybe starting to figure it out. Barzal's got 9 points. He comes in red hot off the back half of the Boston series. Started scoring goals. He's got 6 assists now. Eberle has 8 points very quietly because they don't feel like they've been huge goals. The 3 that he has. But the second line is really where the Islanders' heart and soul is right now. Beauvillier, Nelson, and Bailey, they're really good defensively. And they create a lot of chances off turnovers in the neutral zone. They did that in the Boston series. And they're going to have to try to do that again in this series. And hopefully Brock Nelson, if he gets a breakaway in Game 6, in overtime this time, shorthanded, he'll score! And then we could have gone to Game 7 with Tampa last year. Anyway, this line, very steady. 11 points, Beauvillier. Nelson, 10 points. Bailey, 11 points. Really even goals and assists. 4 goals for Bo, 6 for Nelson, 5 for Bailey. They've been excellent. Third line has been pretty good. The Islanders finally finding the replacement for Anders Lee, both in the physicality department and the goal-scoring department. Now, he's not as big a threat, like, down low in front of the goal, even though he did have one last game, again, against Boston. He has been, Palmieri, has been really strong. I was a little bit surprised he didn't get a fine for the hit to McAvoy after the play. He has gelled well with fellow trade deadline acquisition Travis Zajac, who got his first goal in the last Boston game, and JG Pageau, who leads the team in points as the third line center. So I know they're paying him a lot, and I still see people occasionally be like, well, they're paying a lot for a third line center. The way that the Islanders deploy their lines, it's a little bit murkier than that. It's not a clear third line. I think at points they probably played more than the first line. Probably last game where the Islanders were killing a lot of penalties. And the fourth line. Fourth line has not been as offensively productive. Now, last year, Matt Martin had 5 goals in the playoffs, and that's hard to repeat. But a little surprised that he's completely at a goose egg so far. Cizikas broke a 40-plus game playoff goal drought in the game-winning goal in Game 2 against Boston. He has been his usual self, good defensively, a pest on the penalty kill. Cal Clutterbuck comes in with 3 goals, 1 assist. He's playing pretty well. Didn't have a great year, so it's good to see. On the blue line, the Islanders have goals from Pelech, Pulock, and Mayfield. Leddy with 5 points, all assists, and 7 assists for Dobson. So they're getting some help from the blue line, mostly through just like getting shots of the net. Pulock has an empty netter. Of course, but pucks on net. Very generally saying they're just doing a good job at avoiding getting their shots blocked, finding the sight line when it's required. Varlamov. Now, the Islanders' goaltending is very interesting. Varlamov's got a .262 goals against, .925 save percentage. He has been pretty steady. He had a rough start to the Pittsburgh series. Lost the job for a little bit. Sorokin reverses, has a rough start to the Boston series. They go back to the veteran against a veteran Boston team. I would think that Varlamov, again, is going to have to, he's going to have to be a big part of the series with the shooting talent of Tampa Bay. They don't need a lot of chances, but they will still generate a lot of chances. So, let's talk about a couple of the storylines going in. Big difference from last year to this year. The Islanders will have a lot more rest. The Islanders last year, and this is not blaming the NHL scheduling a little bit, but also the Islanders could have made it better for themselves by finishing off Philly a little bit sooner. The Islanders finished that series with 2 of the last 3 games going to double OT, and then Game 7, and then getting on a flight, and then having a game not long after. So Game 1 was kind of lopsided, if you'll remember. I think it was 7 or 8-2. So I don't expect that this year. Both teams are going to be coming in with a proper amount of rest, and if a team wins by that score in Game 1, I'll be very surprised. If a team wins by that score at any point in the series, I'll be surprised. But I expect this to be a very tight series. The Islanders, if they can contain the top 6, like I said, the bottom 6 has to get going. And no goals yet from the blue line for the Tampa Bay Lightning. So, maybe not being noticed because they've been so professional in getting 2 good teams done with. But maybe the Lightning, if you can, it's a big if you can stop that first line, although, it's not as much definitely not a one-line team. Boston kind of turned into a one-line team at one point in that series. So it's going to be a bigger challenge. Of course it is. It's a team that is, looking like they're cup-bound again. They're incredible. They've done everything to convince people. I didn't think they would crush Carolina the way they did. And I know the games were pretty even, but didn't expect Tampa Bay to so easily walk through that round. So here we are. And the Islanders aren't built to walk through anyone. The Islanders are, if they're going to win, it's going to be 6 or 7. We've already seen the formula. Go down 2-1, win the rest of the games. So, Tampa Bay, like I said, no goals from defensemen. The Isles were able to get it to 6 last year. Could have been 7, like I said, if Brock Nelson scores. But Stamkos being back is a big thing. Islanders didn't have to contend with that last year. So, this was very, very, very difficult. Very difficult to decide which way to go in this series, because part of me was like, you've picked against them twice already. Are you going to be wrong again and pick against them? Or do you need to keep it up picking against them and take one for the team by getting everything wrong but having the Islanders win? Obviously, I don't really care. I just am going to give the honest opinion that I have. And for me, I am going to take the Islanders in 7. 6. I'm going to take the Islanders in 6, and I'm going to tell you why. The Islanders were able to force Boston into a position where, by the end of the series, they weren't getting very many 5-on-5 chances even. And that's a team that's very difficult to do that to. And I know this is a step up, but with ample time to prepare compared to last year for Barry Trotz, I think every game is going to be extremely tight. I think we see a ton of overtime in the series. I think there is something special about this current Islander team, and it's interesting because I would say on paper they might look worse than last year. Not having Taves is a big loss to having a puck moving defenseman, and that's going to be on Leddy to really step it up in this series because he's been a little back and forth. And Noah Dobson as the youngster, he's going to have to continue his good offensive play, but he's going to have to also still sometimes looks like he's gripping the stick kind of tight, and he's got to settle it down a little bit, especially against a tough team like this. This series is going to be a slugfest because Tampa Bay, they've got that perfect mixture that Toronto's probably looking for, which is ton of talent, good grit, and some depth scoring, although it hasn't been there yet. And that's part of the reason I think if the Islanders can just, if they can silence the first line and, level out between the Islanders' second line, which is their best line right now, and hold this line in bay, I actually would give the Islanders bottom six the edge in scoring. So I guess I'm going with the formula that the Islanders have followed so far. But they've bought in so sincerely. Like I said, would you rather have Taves or Green? Of course, Taves. But they have done something really special. The first defensive pairing has been really, really, really impressive outside of Pulock getting walked by Marchand the one time. If they can key up on Hedman the way they did on McAvoy, and I don't mean with hits after the whistle like the Palmieri play, I think the Islanders could do this. I really do. I think the blue line needs to get going offensively. The bottom six needs to go get going offensively for Tampa. And the key for the Islanders, the biggest key, I think I've said the key a few times, biggest key, stay out of the box. The Islanders' penalty kill right now at 61.5%. Not good enough. I know it's a small sample size. Power play has been better, so maybe you can hit back with some power play goals of your own with Tampa's power play kind of struggling. But it will be big special teams. And the Islanders don't want to get into that. And of course, they're the New York Saints, so they won't have to worry about that. Because we have the refs in our pockets, as everyone knows. We do. Yeah. So that's what I've got. Tampa Bay fans, tell me what you think below. Let me know if you think it was a fair assessment of your team. I've been able to watch them in the playoffs and get to watch a ton of them in the regular season. And so I'm kind of excited for next year, for everything to go back to normal, to be able to watch teams that aren't just in my division again. Yeah. So let me know what you think in the comments. Really excited for this series, and either way, I'm kind of at the point where I'm just extremely proud of this Islander team. Though if they do lose, I think, immediately you'll have to go like, all right, well, what do they have to do to get over the hump now? And for Tampa, I mean, if they lose, there's still not going to be a lot of questions. It's a pretty excellent team. You just got to do the best you can to navigate the cap and keep it together. Anyway, that's the video. We'll see you next time on Belmont Bunch. Thank you so much for watching.